So Elon Musk has access to the Treasury Department's payment system, full access. The New York Times reports that Musk and his team, with the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, gained access on Friday night. It came after a top Treasury official who had resisted Musk's efforts was put on leave and then suddenly retired after more than 35 years of working for the government. The paper also reports that the Musk allies who have been granted access to the payment system were made Treasury employees, passed government background checks, and obtained the necessary security clearances. However, the Musk representatives have yet to gain operational capabilities, and no government payments have been blocked. However, this is unprecedented. Meanwhile, the security leaders for the U.S. Agency for International Development are on administrative leave after trying to prevent Musk's team from accessing U.S. aid systems. Sources tell NBC News that Musk's team tried to access personnel files and security systems, including classified systems beyond the security level of at least some of the DOJ employees. Musk targeted the agency in his pursuit of trimming federal spending. Yesterday, he posted on social media that it was time for the agency to die and accused the independent agency, without offering evidence, of being a criminal organization. USAID provides humanitarian and development assistance to other countries, primarily through funds to non-governmental organizations, foreign governments, and international groups. In the fiscal year for 2023, USAID managed over $40 billion in appropriations, which is less than 1% of the federal budget. The top recipients of the funding included Ukraine, Ethiopia, Jordan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Somalia. Last night, President Trump was asked about Musk's work so far and the future of USAID.
Well, I think Elon's doing a good job. He's a big cost cutter. Sometimes we won't agree with it and will not go where he wants to go, but I think he's doing a great job. He's a smart guy, very smart, and he's very much into cutting the budget of our federal government. It's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
You know, Jonathan Lemire, it's hard really to know where to start here. First of all, on USAID, let's talk about USAID for a second. Here's an organization that has fought hunger and starvation across the globe, that's fought diseases across the globe. Jimmy Carter helped use it to actually rid the world of some diseases that again, across Africa, across the world, have had massive impact. I just have a quote here at the end of World War II, just to talk about, for anybody that might want to know why the United States engages in USAID, it's not just charity. It is the ultimate soft power that allows America to have an advantage over China and Russia in the third world, in the global south, because the United States is there, actually not just mining for minerals and precious metals, but also helping people. Harry Truman called in Herbert Hoover at the end of World War II, when there was the greatest humanitarian crisis the world had known. And Herbert Hoover, who Truman had run against basically his entire adult life, said, bare substance means hunger. Hunger means communist. It means communism. And they started a program to make sure that there was not starvation across Europe and the rest of the world. And so those that are cheering, all these things that we're talking about this morning, let's make no mistake about it. We're going to be talking about the gutting of the FBI. Yeah. The fact that you have the Trump administration actually looking inward to purge the FBI instead of looking outward at threats from Al-Qaeda, threats at ISIS, threats from China. You
Making
can say
us
the
less
same
safe.
thing about the Pentagon. They're so busy running around trying to take generals' pictures off the wall, they're going to take their eye off the ball, many people fear. And on U.S. aid, make no mistake of it, we actually collect data. We collect intel across Africa on al-Qaeda's growth, al-Qaeda's movement, what ISIS is trying to do there, what China is trying to do there. Yes, there is the carrot, but there is also the stick for our enemies. That's why they're there. And to have the world's richest man go in and say he's going to basically tear this organization to the ground, not only will cause immeasurable suffering across the globe, it also will put us in a strategic disadvantage. This is strategic. What he's talking about doing is, I'm sorry, it is stupid. And to try to vilify this organization so he can destroy it, that's not just bad for people who are suffering, the poorest of the poor, the most disadvantaged of the most disadvantaged. Just strategically, you talk to anybody in any administration, and they will tell you it is just a stupid strategic move. But let's talk about the muddling of this, Jonathan, because we had the freeze last Wednesday of all government spending. On Thursday, the judge put an injunction on it. And then there was a memo that said, oh, never mind, we're not going to have a freeze. And then on Friday, I believe the White House announces, no, the freeze is in full effect. And then a judge came back and said, okay, well, now it's obvious why this injunction has to hold. And then we have last week this freeze on U.S. aid. And then Marco Rubio said, this from the Times yesterday, soon after announcing the cutoff, the administration abruptly switched gears. Rubio said that, quote, life-saving humanitarian assistance would continue for, quote, core efforts to provide food, medicine, shelter, and emergency need. That is not only not happening right now. No. Elon Musk is going in. They're basically doing everything but breaking down the doors and gaining access to classified information. He's not even a government employee. And again, my question is, when are the courts going to step in? And also, when are members of Congress, Republicans, who are in charge, who authorized all of these programs, voted for all of these programs, authorized all these programs, appropriated money for all these programs, which the Constitution of the United States gives them the power to do, when are they going to stand up and go, wait a second, this is not your power. We are still three co-equal branches. Talk about that, and also talk about the muddled message. One day the freeze is in effect, the next day they say the freeze is not in effect. One day the U.S. aid freeze is in effect, the next day Marco Rubio says, oh, but no, the humanitarian assistance moves forward. And then the next day, well, no, it doesn't look like it is. Now Musk is going on Twitter and just saying completely unfounded, crazy things about U.S. aid.
Yeah, a lot to get through here, Joe. Starting with this, foreign policy analyst texted me over the weekend saying, you know who U.S. aid's biggest opponent might be? Vladimir Putin, because Putin understands that it is helpful both in terms of, yes, there's a humanitarian element to this. There's America being the shining city on the hill. We're supposed to uplift our neighbors across the globe, but also there's a real strategic purpose as a bulwark against China, yes, against Russia. And now Elon Musk says that agency that has done so much good needs to die, declaring that it is evil. We have seen him and his cronies at the Treasury Department trying to access classified information, sensitive information, not just about federal employees, but everyday citizens. Has Elon Musk been confirmed by the Senate? No. Has anyone at DOJ been confirmed by the Senate? No. It's not even clear what exactly a federal agency this is. It's still a quasi-group. We're still being written up as to what it is, and yet they're already moving into some of the most sensitive areas in government. And it's taken in tandem, as you mentioned, with this purge at the FBI, not just of agents who investigated the Trump cases, but potentially any agent. They're investigating any FBI personnel who had anything to do with any January 6th case. We have, as you mentioned, the freeze and the mixed messaging there. We even have a release of water from a California reservoir, water not needed to combat the Los Angeles fires, which are now thankfully contained, but just because Donald Trump last week had said he was going to do something, so they reverse engineered it and said put water.
And Jonathan, let's just talk about the common denominator here. And again, we will tell you, for those of you that don't know the Constitution of the United States, and maybe you haven't read it, or maybe you never saw Schoolhouse Rock to know exactly how this stuff breaks down.
Yeah.
But Congress funds these organizations. They negotiate with the White House. They come up with a plan. Then the White House signs the bill, it becomes law, and the funding goes out there. This, again, just because you have an administration that wills it to be so, says, oh, we don't need to do that anymore. We can just do all the cutting. No, there's nothing in the Constitution that remotely says that. We'll see what the Article 3 branch, the courts will do. I'm quite confident that the courts will actually say, well, this is so cut and dry. The Constitution doesn't allow for this. I'm wondering, though, when Republicans in the first branch will say, we're equal powers here, and you want to talk about USAID, we'll do that when we negotiate next time, that goes through our subcommittees and then our committees and then the floor of Congress and then to the Senate, and then we come up with a bill, we send it to you, and you decide to either sign it or veto it. That's not happening. So there are a lot of these questions about how these two branches of government are going to respond. But, Jonathan, let's underline something that is good for every Republican in Washington, D.C., including Donald Trump, to know, to hear, and to understand on what Elon Musk is doing right now and what other people are doing right now. When you got USAID, and this is a truth every president has known, you are actually taking comfort away from the poorest and the most disadvantaged people on the face of the earth, and you are providing comfort to our enemies, whether it's Al-Qaeda that's trying to make gains across Africa, going south of Sudan, trying to spread their hateful ideology, whether it is ISIS, who also is moving aggressively to try to have foothold across Africa, whether we're talking about throughout the Middle East, wherever we're talking about. And the big winners, as you've said, big winners are China, the big winners are Russia, the big winners are Al-Qaeda, the big winners are ISIS. The big winners of the United States doing this are all the people who wish us ill. And nowhere is this more true than in the gutting of the FBI, where you actually have an administration looking inward to carry out a purge of the FBI, right? Doing that instead of looking outward at all the threats from Al-Qaeda in the United States, all the threats from ISIS in the United States, all the cybersecurity threats from China across the United States for American citizens, all the cybersecurity threats from Russia, from Iran, who has said they want to strike the United States. They want to kill Americans. They've said that. And so you're gutting the FBI. You're firing all these people across, possibly 1/3, 1/4 of the workforce, and your most experienced people for political reasons. You're doing that. The winner are our enemies, those people who seek to do harm to America and to kill American citizens.